So I have in my hands a very artistically done illustration of a location in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Sugarloaf Mountain, and it does look like two deserts that are placed at the edge of the ocean by God.
Yeah.
And there's this cable car that goes between. It's just beautifully, gloriously beautiful. And then you look back on Rio or look out on the sea. And we have this in a place in our house where we can regularly see it. And when I go by it, it always reminds me of a couple things. One is how my life and Luella's life have been so just amazingly enhanced by God's plan for us, that it's just taken us into relationships we never thought we'd have, to locations we never thought we'd go to experience God's church around the world. This wouldn't have been my plan for my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me want to say that even if you aren't called to travel around the world in some form of gospel ministry, following God is way more exciting than anything you would ever plan for yourself. It
Right.
just is.
Yeah.
The other thing that this often reminds me of is just the worldwide intracultural, multi-generational power of the gospel, that we've never ever been in a cultural setting where the gospel didn't apply, and where there weren't people celebrating the same gospel of Jesus Christ that I celebrate. Once in northern India with a woman that she and I had no commonality at all. Her life was way different than mine, but I was apologizing for telling an American sort of story, and she stopped me and said, "You don't have to apologize. At the level of our hearts, we're the same. We get what you're talking about."
Yeah.
I can remember once in a prayer meeting in Germany, this sounds stupid, but just thinking, God understands German. And
The German language, you mean?
Yeah, that God needs no translator.
Right, yeah.
And that at the moment when my German brothers and sisters were praying, 1 million people were praying in 1,000 different languages at the same time.
Yeah, it reminds you
And
of that. Mm-hmm.
God never had to whip out Google Translator.
Mm-hmm.
That there is a day when we will gather of every nation and every tongue, and we will, with one voice, sing songs of redemption to the Redeemer.
That's beautiful that you have this kind of visual that you keep in your house to remind you of that specifically, because some people might just walk past that and go, "That's cute," and you're like, "Oh yeah, it's from Rio," but like unpacking why that's significant to you is important, especially as we think about where we go, where we travel, as we see God's creation, or like you said, if we don't get the opportunity to do that, we could see the beauty in who God is and how the gospel is relevant to me, even if I'm stuck in my home and I can't leave all the time.
And I want to make a suggestion. There was a Old Testament tradition to build an altar of stones when something great would happen.
Ebenezer.
And Ebenezer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hitherto has the Lord helped me. And I think you ought to plant Ebenezers in your life that remind you of moments where God was clearly present and his purpose and plan in your life.